Thank you.
All right, we are
Okay.
live.
Sure.
Welcome, everybody.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello. So next week we have another comic book artist in here, a steampunk comic book artist. So that should be
Is it
exciting.
a duo?
Yeah, it's Matt and Stephanie. Hang on. I'm blanking on the whole thing. Uh, I'll have that by the end of the show. I'll have all that information. Hi, Allie. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Oh, Wolf's not here yet, but it's his birthday. So when he gets here, we can.
Yes, yesterday was actually his
Oh,
birthday.
yesterday? Okay.
So, hey. Yeah, we are just talking about you. We're looking forward to having you on next week. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So, what's up, Brian? Tingoliath. Hi. Winona. Hello. Beastmaster. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome on this swelteringly hot day. Oh my God. Is it like a million degrees everywhere, I think?
And then I'm in the house, beanie and a hoodie on because the AC is so cold.
Yeah, we don't have those problems here in Florida where the power bills are stupidly high.
Well, apparently, a large swath of the area where I live, they lost power.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so a couple thousand people have been without power today in the Raleigh area
What a
in
bad
this
day to
extreme
lose
heat
power.
advisory that they've had to have issues. So they've had citywide uh, cooling places, I guess you can go. Like if you don't have AC and you feel like it's too hot, they have places in the city where you can go to cool off and
Oh, that's
I guess
awful.
relax and chill.
That is awful. So, and hi, Eva. Hi, Scott. So, before we get the show started, I'll just mention this. If you are dealing with extreme heat, you might want to try this trick. If you can't get a um a mister, what you might want to do is get a couple of frozen jugs of water or bags of ice and put those behind your fans. So just put them in a bowl of water or right, behind your fan. Put your fan on you with that ice or frozen water jug behind it, and that can help a little bit. And I don't know if you have a dehumidifier. At the same time, you can run that too.
Oh,
So
interesting.
just a suggestion. That's what we used to call that. You know, redneck air conditioning.
Oh, I've had to do that a couple times. We had a styrofoam. We put a fan inside a styrofoam box and then put the ice and stuff in the styrofoam box when we didn't have AC in one of the houses we lived in.
Yep.
And then I finally caved in and I was renting a house. So I was like, you know what? If I go and buy a portable AC unit, he has to like pay for this and I get to keep the AC unit.
Yep.
So I went and bought a portable AC unit and we set it up in one room of the house and like put blankets up over the doors so that it was like perfectly sealed and that was like our cool one little cool room in the house.
It was the ice room. I used to daisy chain my fans in New England. We didn't have a lot of air conditioning. We had one in the living room, and I would daisy chain like fans down the hallway and put them into section them off. So, hey, Pound Cake Crane, welcome, welcome. So thank
A
you for
couple of
being
people in
here. The
here,
first timer we
Speedway.
have a virgin here. Yay. Hi, Ethan. AB Twitch 23. Hello from Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Um, Speedway. How you doing? Hey, Pete. What's up? What's up? So, Brian Tingoliah says that the feed is kicking in and out. Is anybody else having that problem before we get started?
Doesn't seem to
Ethan Wagwan.
be something with Twitch. I can check that because it seems like you and I are coming in through here. I don't see any jumpiness or anything like that from.
Okay. All good. All good. If anybody's running into any problems, let us know or forever hold your pieces.
Yeah, it says we're live, so we
Okay,
look
cool.
good.
All right. Well, hi, Chuck. Looks like we have enough people in here. If we can go live.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let me get everything. Hang on 1 second. I have so many pictures now. I have to go back and find the one that we use for this.
Wagwan, and welcome to the A Show. I am your host, April Hunter, and across from me is my producer and co-host, Colin Wysong. So tonight we're going to talk about some love and some dating and the thing that is the number one relationship killer, how to love with a broken heart and how to love without attachment. So these are all things that were I'm still learning these lessons. We're all still learning these lessons, and we have stories for you as well. And maybe you guys can teach us some things too. So welcome to everybody in the chat. It's nice to see you guys. Oh, yes. It was great to see some of you at Tampa Bay Screams this weekend. It's always awesome to see people live. And that's always very gratifying for me. So, hey, Chris, how are you doing? Hello, Alexa. Hello, V Gates. So one of the things I wanted to say that I had this like weird thought while I was sitting there at Tampa Bay Screams this weekend. Okay, so you know that we talk about a lot of esoteric stuff and spirituality, right?
Yeah.
So our theory here, and again, nobody knows anything for sure. All we know is that we don't know. But our theory here is that energy, and hi, Fred, energy never dies, right? You can't kill it. It just never dies. So if the human soul is energy and energy never dies, then it's a theory that it can be incarnated and reincarnated. So, and this is a strong theory that a lot of people believe in. So now this weekend is Juneteenth. So we have, for those who are not quite aware of this, I believe it's the first celebration of the freedom, the emancipation, I believe, of slaves. And on Sunday is Juneteenth. And this made me think something. If we are incarnated and reincarnated, this would mean that a lot of people who Juneteenth is important to have absolutely no relations to Africa or slavery, nothing, because their ancestors, their soul didn't come from there. And people who don't actually care about Juneteenth do. Just a theory. Meaning you could be the average person who doesn't care about it, but somewhere along the way, your soul does come from that place.
I can see that. I mean, you have to have the yin and the yang in there.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I'm just saying if we go around and around and around again, and if one of the oldest continents was Africa, and before that, possibly Atlantis was also in the same area, it stands to reckon that a lot of souls would come from that area, regardless of where we are now.
It's very interesting, yeah.
It's just one of those thoughts to think about when, how many continents? 7. There are 7 continents. So it's just one of those things to think about when you're eating an edible or smoking some weed later.
Shower thoughts
by
April Hunter.
Yes. So Father's Day this weekend. So happy Father's Day early to everybody. And I wanted to say happy birthday to one of our own, Keon. There you are. Woof. So we wanted to say happy birthday to you. I know it was yesterday, but still happy birthday.
Does he have any Stella left over for the show today? He had his bottle of Stella that he had gotten. If Jamie was in the chat, he'd have some rum for him.
Absolutely. Oh, Pound Cake Crane. We don't worry about spending people. All our viewers know that. We talk about everything here. So that's part of the reason that we do this show is we like to talk about real things. So
Loki's making his presence felt.
Yes, Loki is making his presence known. Colin has a dating story for us.
Well, you said that you hit me up the other day, and you said that we were going to talk love and relationships, and that you have a Tantra course that you've been meaning to get through. So I kind of thought that you were going to be talking about kind of Tantra. That was kind of going to be the theme of the show, and how you can get emotionally connected to someone without any real physical touch or anything like that, right? And it reminded me of this story that happened to me when I lived in Georgia. The roommates that I had, they used to like to go out and drink, And we would go to this one certain bar, and then we would go to this girl's house afterwards, and they would play like beer pong and flip cup and all kinds of little games like that, right? So um, we would go over there a couple of times, and I guess they knew I was single, she was single. They were trying to like hook us up, right? So we would talk and things like that. And then one day, my roommate did the trick where he just takes the car
Mhm.
and leaves me there. Like I didn't know he took my car and just left me at her house, right? So I don't know the situation, right? I'm not trying to be weird. So like we pretty much just stay up all night talking, her and I, until about 4 or 5 in the morning. Um, Nothing ever happens, right? And pretty much from that day forward, anytime I saw her at the bar, she was just like, "Oh my God, Colin!" Like she saw me over anybody to come give me a hug and all this stuff, right? Well, a good friend of mine, this was Halloween. A good friend of mine, we were her and I, we were going to this house, and there was a bonfire in the back. And as we're coming out of the kitchen, out of the house, we'll call her Sam. She sees me, and she is like she's standing there and she sees me and she's like, "Oh my God, Colin." But when she's standing there, like she's doing her knees, like she's like squeezing her knees, like she's doing the very excited, like, "Oh my God."
Okay.
Like she's doing the pee dance or whatever. And my friend's looking at her like, did she just climax when she saw you? She was like, did that was weird. And so from that day forward, we always just thought that like she saw me and she just the reaction that she had, April, was one that this girl who knows me like was just
Uh-huh.
like, yo, did she really just like that's crazy that that just
So,
happened. And I'm like, I've never had anyone to do that before. Like she was
some
doing the
some
pee
girls pee
dance.
pee when they see you, but
Yeah, like
this
she well,
this
she
one
was doing
takes
like
it
the
a,
pee
a
dance,
step
like
further.
yeah, I don't know if she was rubbing things together or whatever she was doing when she saw me, but she look, yeah, yes, Wolf. That's
Ah,
exactly
that's
what happened.
hilarious. That is
So apparently
fantastic.
that night that we just had this huge mental connection, April, and nothing ever happened. Like we never dated, we never kissed, we never nothing. And
That's
it just as
funny.
that mental connection was there.
It is there. Like our biggest. A lot of people don't realize this. Your biggest sex organ is your brain. So, like when you connect with somebody, that's a real thing. So there's four ways that men connect with women and women connect with men. So obviously it's physical, right? Yeah, yeah, right. Physical, emotional, spiritually, and mentally. So if you are real lucky, you can connect with your partner on all four levels. But a lot of people aren't that lucky. You connect on one level, maybe two levels, maybe three levels, but you connect on all four levels. It's pretty sweet. You have like that relationship and you hope it's a healthy one.
Yeah. Yeah, the one girl that was my friend, we became friends because I used to be just keep to myself, like like innocent little Colin, right? And like my friend that lived with me, my roommate, they would go out and drink and stuff, and I would just kind of play video games and smoke weed and stuff like that. Like I wasn't into drinking. And she would come over and she was always like, "Yo, why is that dude in the corner just like ignoring me?" Because I guess she always got all the attention.
Hmm.
Right? And so she was just perplexed that I just would like just why is he just over there? He don't care. He doesn't care about anything. Like he's not like fawning over us or anything that's going on in the house. He's just over there playing video games. So I think that even made it more of like a like for the other ones were like, okay, like why is he different than everybody else? So that's why her and I think became really good friends because it wasn't coming from that like, oh well, he's just fawning over me because I'm good looking kind of thing. He really doesn't he really doesn't care.
Some people take that as a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, I had a situation recently where I went to a Comic Con. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I went to a Comic Con and I've been this year has been a weird year for me as far as like everything, but including dating. It's just been a weird year for me. And I'm trying to do things differently because I haven't done it right yet. I mean, I've been fortunate in that most of my exes I'm friends with or friendly with. And a couple of them are really good friends of mine, but um, I haven't obviously gotten it right yet. So I'm trying to do things differently. Um, so I'm trying to have more of an open mind about things because I don't think there's one right way for everybody to follow. Like some people are good with traditional marriage and some people are good with living together. Some people are good with monogamy. Some people are good with polygamy. Some like everybody has a different thing, you
Mhm.
know. So we went to a Comic-Con recently and I made the mistake of turning on like listening, paying attention to my cameras, and I could hear my elder dog crying and screaming, and I was hours away in Orlando.
Ooh, yeah.
And most of the time, if I'm not on the road, I'm working from home, and I can hear him. He was like, woo, 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 like that, and I'm like, oh my god, what's wrong with him? Now he's really old, and he's got a lot of things wrong with him. And I'm thinking, oh my god, what if he's dying right now, and I'm so far away from him? So the pet sitter was going to come over anyway because I had to go, and we were going somewhere after too. So I texted her. I said, "Hey, is there any way you could go over there earlier to feed the dogs and like check on them?" She's like, "Yeah, sure. I can leave in 5 minutes." I was like, "Okay." So I sat there and watched, and I watched her come in, and I watched him go up to her, and he just wiggled right into her lap, and he calmed down, and
She
she
needed
just,
somebody.
yeah, she got on the floor and she pat him, and I was like, I'm watching, I'm like, well, I guess nothing was wrong with him, he's just got really bad separation anxiety. So she's petting him and holding him, and he's wiggling, and then he's following her into the kitchen, and she fed him, and then he came over and she got on the floor and she pat him, played with him, took him outside, got back on the floor, played with him, went back in the living room, played with him, and he's sticking to her side, and he's calm and he's loving on her. And I feel better. I'm watching this and I'm feeling better. I'm like, oh, thank God, she's taking good care of him. He's happy. She's spending time with him. I feel comforted because I know he's okay. And then after she left, he was calm. And I thought to myself, I stopped watching. I was able to calm down because before that I was like, I'm like, I'm so far away. What do I do? What's going on? I was able to stay calm and be back with my friends and go about and do what we were doing. And I thought about that later and I was like, why can't I have that same attitude with men in my life with dating? Like why can't I be like, if they're happy and they're being looked after and they're doing what they're doing and they're fine and they're cheerful and everything's good, why can't I be the same way? It's kind of like when you leave your kids with a babysitter and you kind of check in and they're being taken care of and it's a good babysitter. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If related to that, and not that men need a babysitter, I'm not saying that. Somebody out there will twist it.
Most of us do. Most of us.
So this past year, so I was seeing somebody from LA, um, this guy named Christian, and I saw him last year. We've been friends for like 17 years, and then what we kind of just dated, but I knew it was not going to be anything. And he said straight up, he's like, we live in different areas of the country. I'm not moving anywhere because he's in entertainment. Um, he's like, I'm not moving anywhere. I got 7 years till I retire and get out of SAG. I'm staying out here. I'm like, okay. So the opportunity came up to hang out for, do some stuff together. And then he came out to Tampa and I looked at it as an adventure, an experience. So I knew it wasn't going to be anything. He never led me on to think it was going to be something
Hmm.
it wasn't. His behavior and his words matched up. He was always real straight up about it. So we met up and hung out on a trip, and then he bought a flight. He came out to Dallas. Um, no, this is a guy's actually, his name is actually Christian. And then he came out to Tampa and he was out here. We went and saw Bon Jovi. We went paddleboarding, and we did this and we did that, and we had a really good time. And then he went back, and I knew he was seeing other people, and it didn't bother me. And it was the weirdest thing because he never lied to me. There was no deception there.
He had that open communication with you. I think it's because
Yeah.
the boundaries were set
Yeah.
before
He
you
never
guys
pretended
really
it was
started
something
hanging.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you weren't looking to change it, because I think I've seen that happen with friends where they set parameters for certain things. They start hanging out, and then one of them decides to change the parameters, and then that's when it all goes wonky.
Yeah.
But see, you know, the in this instance, the guy decided to follow along for a little bit, and then it just fell off because
Yeah.
he really didn't want what she was trying to,
And that happens too. I was in a situation before that where somebody said one thing and did another, and it was very confusing. And I found it refreshing when someone is really, really straight up and there's no deception. I think the deception is worse than the fucking around. For what it's worth. If someone's not, someone's running around, but they've always been straight up about running around, you have two choices. You can be like, okay, you've been straight with me, it's cool. And then you have a decision. You can hang out and enjoy whatever you want to enjoy with them, or you can say, you know what, that's not really for me, but you go your way, I'll go mine. Peace out. I wish you the best.
But yet you see a lot of the times it's, all right, this person's going to cheat on me, but I'm okay with that. And then they complain about it constantly. Like you see it in relationships where they're just like, he's just always just cheating on me, or she's just always cheating on me. But it's like, why are you still with him? Like, why are you putting up with that? Like, if you know that that's happening, like, why continue to put up with it? Like, I was with someone, they had an ex who would come back and then like after about 6 months, she was old flavor, and he'd go find a new flavor. And then he'd get tired of that, and he knew she was there. So he'd always just come back and just pick up the phone 2 or 3 in the morning, just call her and be like, oh, I love you so much. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You just know that she's going to be there for you. And she's being naive enough to be there for you, and ruining her life at these types, in these times. And it's hard because she was being led on. Ultimately, they're not together anymore. He went his own separate way, and she went her separate ways.
So that begs the question, do you think, humans are built for monogamy? Or, I mean, I think it's a learned trait. It's something we choose to do. But do you think we're actually built for monogamy? I know these are hard conversations to have, but no one wants to say yes or no to certain things, But I wonder sometimes, because familiarity can breed contempt. So you really have to work at that. So contempt and resentment, speaking of relationship killers, this is where your relationship dies, with contempt and resentment. So how you go from being everybody's sun, moon, and stars, you guys are the love of your life, to I can't deal with her anymore, I can't deal with him anymore, that's resentment. And that has to be caught real early. When you start feeling like resentful of somebody, or you can pick up that they're feeling resentful of you, you have to hone in and be aware of that. You have to catch it early and say, you got to be straight up about everything. You got to be like, look, I feel like this is what's going on, and it's making me feel resentful, or I resent you for it. And we need to talk about it, because if it keeps going the way it is, it's not going to end up well.
Yeah. I think too, with relationships, if everyone is like you see a lot of people in industry, like let's use actors, for example, right? Why did Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie get together? Because they were
working
doing
together, and they
Mr.
were
and
totally
Mrs.
hot.
Smith. And
Right.
and the scenes they were doing, it put them closer together. Usually a lot of people, they work with their coworkers. So a lot of people have that attraction because they're usually on the same path, or they're doing the same thing. And I think when people kind of have the same goals. And I think a lot of it has to do with communication. You have to be open with your partner or the other person in the relationship and kind of let them know how you're feeling and how things are going. Because again, we change so much. But I think
Mhm.
as people, if you and that person are constantly working towards the same goals
Mhm.
and kind of have the same goals and same like orientation of your path that you're taking, I think that's how a lot of that stuff um is it's successful. And I mean, it's like Ava says, you have to connect on all four levels. So I mean, if you got one person who is very like goal oriented and driven and the other person's not, it's probably not going to work out 9 times out of 10 unless you guys have that solid understanding. And the person who's really driven is not going to sit there the whole entire time and be like, well, I'm really driven, why aren't you right here beside me? They'll have that understanding. I think that might be how some of that works. I don't know, April. I'm not a biologist. Oh,
It's frozen. There we go.
there
Are
we
we
go.
unfrozen?
I think we're back.
Oh, well, sometimes opposites attract too.
Yeah.
Like, if you are very career and work driven, and your partner is more of the, hey, work to live instead of live to work type, they can make you calm down and slow down, and you can make them, shift to a higher gear.
I
So
don't
it
know
can
if you
it can
guys
work
caught
out.
that because I think I said that exact thing, same thing when I was frozen there. I don't know if that part
No, I
came
didn't hear
through
that.
or anything. Yeah, I was saying you could have the one who's the super go getter and the one who's not, and they balance each other out
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there's that understanding there
yeah.
of
They
all
bring out
right,
the
you're
best
the
of each other,
you're
or
the
they can bring out the
breadwinner.
worst of each other.
Yeah, and they have that well, and the person who's the go-getter isn't looking at the person who's not and being resentful towards them because they have that understanding like, all right, I'm very high productive. You're
Hmm.
not necessarily that much productive, right? But I'm not going to sit there and be resentful towards you because of this. We are two completely. And the person who's not as productive can't just look at the go-getter and be like, you're just going all the time. Like, why? You have to have that understanding that let's say a normal person was in a relationship with you, April, right?
Hmm.
They're gonna have to understand that you're gonna travel a lot. That's something that comes with being with April Hunter, right? Like you go to Comic Cons, they can join you or they can, if they do their own thing, but they have to know like they can't put pressure on you to be like, don't go to those cons. Like but that's your career. That's what you do to make your money.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure well, I guess then again, there are people in your situation too who have the fame and the celebrity and that status that do like to be with normal people. You hear a lot of the A-list celebrities that are just with like normal no name people because they like that normalcy and not the
Yeah.
Hollywood glitz and
Yeah.
glams of being a Brangelina.
Yeah. I've dated a lot of normal people. I'll just date whoever is interesting. I don't. It doesn't matter to me if they're in the business or out of the business. If they're interesting and witty and smart and open minded, like, you know, whatever. I don't have a preference. If I really don't. I don't. Like I said, I haven't had too much luck either way. So people in the business understand the business, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But people outside of the business tend to work 9 to 5, and you got to work weekends, so that screws things up there. So the ideal
Yes.
person would be a self-employed person who I can have some wiggle room, and you know,
That's always been one of my biggest problems being in the restaurant industry. The weekends are like my biggest time and I tend to work
Mhm.
nights.
Yep.
So if you work a 9 to 5, there's like my I have an ex-fiance and she worked 6 to 2 in the
Hmm.
morning at a call center.
Yeah.
And basically by the time she was getting off, I was going into work. So we like barely ever saw each other. And that caused a lot of problems because
I feel like you have to be on the same schedule. You just have to. If it's one of the things, somebody has to change it. And Ali said, I hate when people aren't upfront about their intentions with their date of the partner. You know what I find that this is the most common? One of two things. When the person doesn't know themselves well enough to be upfront because they don't know what they want, a lot of people tell themselves a certain story, and that story isn't true. So I had an experience with somebody who the guy kept saying over and over again that he didn't want a relationship, but he did. And in every which way he acted, he seemed like very much wanting a relationship. So he would constantly reach out and constantly call and constantly text. But when it came time to do and meet my friends and everything, but when it came time to do like things that were normal relationship things, like, you know, have pictures together online or talk about things regarding the relationship, he would have like a breakdown. He'd be like, no, we're not dating, right? We're not dating. It would just be that. And it was like, what has the past year been?
Yeah.
Why do you do this, that, and the other if we're not dating? So it's like that, So I find that people don't know who they are or what they want or what their intentions are, or they tell themselves a certain story, or they don't really want a relationship. They just want their needs met.
Yeah.
They just want their needs met. But they say they want a relationship. But in reality, they just want their needs met.
I think a lot of it's just disguised as codependency as well.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize.
Yes. That. Yeah. They don't want to be alone. They don't want to be this. They want someone to hold their hand. Yeah. So you run into that one too.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I see a lot of it with people in other relationships, like they like constantly just going back to people. Like there's a girl that I know, she's in a relationship with a guy, but she came home and this girl was over at the apartment, right? And come to find out, like, he's basically kind of been like going back and forth between the two of them. Like when things aren't good with her, he goes to her. When things aren't good with her, he goes back to her. And it's like this weird vicious cycle. And I'm like, how do you not just get tired of it and put your foot down? Like, how does somebody talk their way? Like, if it was me and I was in that situation, April, I'd be like, yeah, no, like, this is done. Like, I have that willpower to be like, yeah, no, this is done. I'm not, like, it's either if you're choosing her, it's done. Like, we're done, right? And that's, I don't see how that it's constant. Like, she's okay with the back and forth and the rubber banding, and I'm like, that would not work for me.
I think that's low self-esteem.
Probably.
Like, you don't think much of yourself. Like like you, once the whole we're not dating thing happened a couple of times, I'm like, okay, then we're not dating.
Yeah. Draw that line in your
We're
head,
like really not dating then. Like, we're done romantically. We're just friends now. So I think you're a great person, but we're definitely not dating. So, because you just, what are you going to do? But, yeah. Somebody's the loving without attachment to the outcome. Now this is even knows what I'm talking about. she's writing fuck off. Yeah, right. Energy vampires. Anyway, whatchamacallit? Loving without attachment to the outcome. This is really difficult too. So when you have a breakup, it's really difficult because you put so much into what you guys were or are, and you're almost losing a little bit of your identity too, because all of a sudden now you're not a husband, you're not a wife, you're not a boyfriend, you're not a girlfriend. So you're losing a little bit of your identity as well. Whereas you can kind of safeguard yourself in a way by kind of living in the moment. And I don't mean like you can't have a future. I mean, like the past is what didn't kill you. The future is what is going to kill you. So the now is what we have. So live in the now and don't have an attachment to the outcome. So for an example, you go to a resort, right? You meet this wonderful person. I may have used this example before. And you guys hit it off. And you know that this person is going to go back to, say, Germany, and you're from Canada. You guys are going your separate ways in 7 days. But the sparks are there, you get along, you're having great conversations, you're physically attracted. Are you not going to take advantage of that because it's going to be done in 7 days, or are you going to have a great time and enjoy that? And when you go your separate ways in 7 days, you'll have had that experience, that adventure. Another thing to say in life, hey, there was that time, that guy, that German guy. So, like, are you going to do it, or are you going to deprive yourself of that and sit there and go, well, go future tripping and go, well, he's just going to leave. Well, I don't want to get involved. Well, what if I really fall in love with him? Well, no, fuck that. Like, go have the experience and don't think about the future, and just know that it is what it is and have fun. And I think if we treated all our relationships like that, we would be okay. Because the fact that you're going back to Canada and he's going back to Germany at the end of the week, does that ruin the 6 or 7 days you have together? No. It should make it even more intense, because you're appreciating every freaking moment, every little thing you're doing, every sip of the champagne, every moment in the kayaks or whatever it is that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
You're appreciating all of it, knowing that it's not going to last. And that's how we should be living our lives, because they're not going to last. We should be living that way all the time.
Do you think, due to societal pressures, that people can't do that? They got to have the whole fairy tale thing, like your example, right? You go on vacation, you go to this resort, you meet a guy at the bar, right?
Mhm.
Most people are like, they're going through their head like, oh my god, is this the one? Like, is this? I think most people, because they watch movies, because of magazines and
Disney is
television,
toxic.
Disney, the whole Disney princess thing, I'm here at this resort. I just happen to meet this random person. Is this the? And then they don't think of how you're thinking it through. Like, all right, this is just a happen chance. We're gonna be here for a week. They're already having kids with the guy, and they
Yes.
haven't even sat down
Yeah.
beside him and said hey yet. They just see him at the
Yes.
bar, and they've planned their whole life out with him. And I think
Someday my prince will
that has
come.
something to do with societal pressures. I think that everyone, you see the TikToks, you see the Facebooks,
Yeah.
you see everybody's having their perfect life, and you don't think, maybe I should just have fun with this. And because, like you said, who
Somebody
knows?
doesn't know.
Maybe 20 years down the line, this guy, you run into this person again, or this person, y'all stay in touch somehow,
Mm-hmm.
and things just work out where now he's flying you out to France or Germany, and you're now a German citizen and you're getting married. And think about that 20 years, what you could have, changed in your life and things like that to set you up for that. But no, most people are married with 5 kids
I don't know. I
before they
think a
even
lot of
meet
people
them.
are into the idea of the wedding, but not the marriage.
Not taking
So,
those opportunities is how some end up as crazy cat ladies.
Javi, hot on, well done. Yeah, I mean, you gotta live. I mean, I aspire to be the crazy aunt in the corner with all the stories and maybe some herpes or something. I don't know. So, if I get old and don't have herpes at the end of it all, I'm gonna be so disappointed or something. You know what I mean? So, no, seriously though, I don't want herpes.
Yeah,
But
Will
seriously,
Chamberlain enough people.
right? So seriously though, my grandma on her deathbed, when I'm asking I always ask old people what it is they regret, and old ladies are the funniest. They always say, "I wish I had more sex." So, ladies out there, that's what the old ladies are. The elder generation is telling us. They said they wish they had more sex. They
Who
wish they
was
saw their friends more. They wish they went out and did things. They wish they went dancing more. Why are we not doing these things? Fuck Disney. The prince is not going to come for you. Your prince isn't going to come for you. Your friends are going to be there for you. So get some good shoes and hang out with your friends. And then if some dude happens to come along, go dancing with him. He might not be your prince, but he might be like fun for whatever. And maybe he'll be your prince, but maybe he won't be.
I think that's the mantra of the lady that wrote, we talked about this, the lady that wrote Goodnight Moon.
Yeah, I don't know if you talked about it.
She was remember she was I think, was it the lady that wrote Goodnight Moon? Yeah, she was like like back in the 40s and 50s, she was like this single woman that was just traveling the world doing whatever
Oh,
the
you
hell she
sent me
wanted.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and she just
Yes.
did whatever she just lived that mantra. Like, I'm
That's what I
gonna,
do.
yeah, you guys are very similar, and that's probably why your
That's
books
why you
both
sent it
kick
to me.
ass.
But I had to break out of the whole thing. I grew up and my parents, like my parents were not traditional in some ways, but they were pretty. My grandparents were very traditionally, like, we grew up in church and, you know, Methodist and, Sunday school, and, you get married and you have your 2.5 kids and you're all that stuff. And somewhere along the way, I was like, I'm not sure this is working out for people really well. So I don't know. I just saw that most of my family had given up their dreams
Yeah.
for like a uniform and a paycheck. And I was like, oh, that doesn't look fun. And everybody was drinking and not having a great time. And I was like, I don't think I want to live that life. So it might be hard to chase your dreams, but at least you're doing it.
I've seen some couples that have been together. They're still together, but they're separated because I guess they don't want to just like their lives are so intertwined with each other. I'm guessing that
Yeah.
they can't really go their own separate ways now, so they have to. It's like Bill and Hillary. I feel like that. Like that's their relationship. Like they've probably Bill and Hillary have probably not had sex since they were in the White House, April. And I just
Maybe
feel
they
like,
tie each other up. We don't know. And she
yeah,
puts
that's
on the
true.
thigh-high boots
That's true.
and
That's true.
blindfolds him and takes Monica out on him all the time. She might be like, you fucking dickhead. And she punches him across the face and he likes it. He's like, oh, yeah, do it again. And she steps on his dick and he's like, yeah, harder.
That's probably right. They probably
she puts
have
a
to do
strap on
something.
and pegs him. I'm just saying it could happen. You never know.
She probably does. Yeah.
Yeah. She puts a cigarette out on his tongue.
Now not to get off topic, but when I joined the comedy troupe that I joined for improv, I learned a lot about dominatrix and the BDSM culture from one of the people who is in the group. Yeah, there's apparently Greensboro, North Carolina is the capital of the BDSM.
No way, it's Tampa. That's why they have fetish.
Well, in North Carolina, it's kind of the like because Greensboro is right in the middle of the state, so you can get all the people from Raleigh and Charlotte an easy place to get to,
bits, right? Thank you.
Which that was also, remember the story I told where the lady you could get free rent if you were just her sub in Greensboro.
Okay.
That was the area. So now I put two and two together all those years later. You never know. There's probably people that you're like, man, they have it so together, and later on in the evening he's in a gimp outfit and she's in all black leather beating the shit out of him.
All right, we're going to talk about love language in a second, but that reminds me of a story. All right, so I was dating this guy for a couple of years, and when we split up, it was like 2.5 years. And when we split up, I missed doing things with him because we were friends also. So all of a sudden, there was nobody to go to theater with. There was nobody to do this with and that with. So I was like, I need to make friends. I need to get out there, and make some more friends to go do things with. So somebody had told me that on Bumble, because I was not ready to date. And I typically take time off between dating not just to make myself a priority, but just to heal and feel sad and be depressed and go through the whole 5 stages of grief and all that other shit. So that next time around, I, try and figure out what I did wrong, all that stuff. So anyway, someone said on Bumble, there's a Bumble BFF and you could meet people and hang out there. So I was like, really? So I signed up. So there is a Bumble BFF and you can meet other females or males, I guess, same sex to hang out with. Okay. So here's where it gets weird. Okay. So women are real bad on dating apps, apparently. Now, I'm going to call it a dating app because that's what Bumble is, but they're real bad about
Bumble. Now, just for the listeners, isn't Bumble the one that the women initiate first?
Yes, but when you're on BFF and you're a female, it's like either
anybody
or.
Can. Okay.
Right. So I met and went out with a couple of different people. Not out. Went to lunch with one. Went to dinner with one. Okay, so the one I went to dinner with this one girl who never shut up, and it's weird for me. Like, how am I supposed to tell him? Like, okay, this is what I do for a living. I didn't have to worry about that because this one girl never shut up the whole time talking about her kids and this, that, and the other, and her husband and blah, the whole time. I didn't have to say anything. I got out of our SUV because I met her in a parking lot. She said, well, let's drive down to Tampa. Okay, got out of the car. She's like, this was fun. Let's do it again. I was like, no. So, because when you meet somebody, you want to be able to have a conversation, not just be talked at. And a lot of people don't have those skills. They just talk at you. So then I saw a screenwriter who basically made it her priority to like ruin my dreams in life. Um, just slash through everything I'd ever written. And she's like, "This is not the Hollywood way. You're never going to make it." And I'm like, I got home and I was like, never going out with her again. So, but in between that, I had met this other girl who wanted to meet at the park and go for walks on Sundays. And I was like, parks for Sundays and walks. I'm like, I like cardio. Let's do that. So we met at this park and we did our cardio walks and we would talk and it was great. So then there was one day it rained and I was like, hey, do you want to come over for coffee instead? So she came over for coffee and we talked and it was great. And I liked her. And then the next time we went out to walk and somewhere along the way, it came out that she was a dominatrix. And then it came out a little bit more that she was a dominatrix in a sub relationship. And then she's telling me all about this. And I was like, I'm just open-minded. I'm like, okay, whatever. Apparently she took my open-mindedness for, I don't know, but I was like, yeah, I'm like, whatever.
She's
I
gonna
don't
come
judge
dominate
anybody.
you, right?
I don't judge anybody. I'm like, do your thing. You guys have fun. So she's like, yeah. So once a week we sit down, we get together and we touch base with each other. What could we do better? What could we not do better? And she's filling me in on the relationship. I'm like, that's great. Awesome. We have the walk again. She's like, so my sub and I wanted to know if you would be our unicorn. I was like, do what? Apparently this is a thing. I'm like, I'm not sure what that is. And apparently a unicorn, I found out, a unicorn is somebody who joins in with a sub and dominatrix relationship. Somebody who has no interest in either the dom or the sub. They just join in for fun. I was like, so we weren't friends. I was just being auditioned. Is that what was happening there? I thought we were walking.
Gaining your trust.
Yeah, right.
She's
I
cool to come with both of us.
That's it. I was having tryout after tryout. I was getting callbacks, and I was just like, "Fuck." Making friends at this age is harder than I thought.
Hollywood doesn't call me back, but I can get tops and subs to call me.
Fuck, I know, right? So I'm like, that's it. I'm just meeting people organically. Forget it. And
oh my gosh,
I just got off of all dating apps at that point, friend apps, all of it. I'm like, people are not what they seem. So I bowed out. I was like, that's really flattering. I really appreciate you off. You know, that's really, cool. You guys do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. I'm just not, into any kind of relationship at all right now. So, but you do you. But I'm like, seriously? Seriously? So, yeah. So that was my foray into Bumble BFF.
Now, would you have to dress up as a unicorn? Like, would that be your outfit? Like, they would have like a latex unicorn outfit for you?
I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know. I didn't even like go into that whole thing, but I have so many weird stories in life. I can't even begin to tell you.
I believe it though. I mean,
there's so many weird stories.
Things that you've seen and been around, I can only imagine.
And sometimes done, but we'll leave it at yeah. not that one though. So. Because I'm up for an adventure. I'm just like, sure, whatever. But yeah, not that adventure that particular time.
So yeah. I found too, like for dating profiles and like on dating apps and things like that. I always find that people that do different things. So for like me, I would put like if they put like what would be your like best first date or whatever. Like going and eating or going to a movie, it's not the best, right?
No.
Like for me, let's go grocery shopping.
Yeah,
right.
That tells you a lot about somebody.
We can get a cart and then fill up the cart. And you know what they're eating and what they're, if they're getting a bunch of trash snacks and things like that. If they grab Whole Foods and they actually cook, you can kind of tell, by dating.
Might be on their best grocery behavior, shopping. Though.
That is true. They could, but you can still find a lot. There's enough time for you to mosey up and down the aisle or go to Walmart. Like even then, you still got the grocery section at a Walmart, and then you have all the other stuff that you can go do. So now, arts and crafts, hobbies, things like that, you could talk about those different things. So
that's true.
Anybody need a good first date idea? Go to Walmart.
And then you see if they return the cart or if they leave it.
There you go. Are they a
What
cart
kind of person
returner?
are you? What kind of person are you? You see, if they're a self-checkout person or a people person, they go through and actually and how they treat the checkout person, because you know how they treat the checkout person is how they're going to eventually treat you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. People watch for sure.
Well, that's fun
Definitely,
too. Yeah.
Fred. That is a good one. So there are 5 love languages, and some people know this, some people don't know this. So this is how people like to express their love and then get it given back to them. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, physical touch, and quality time. So you can go online and find a test and take it and figure out what you are. A lot of people, you know, they fall into like 2 or 3, but you're always like that main one is your one. So a lot of fights with couples happen when, or misunderstandings happen when we expect other people to understand our love language and them and us to understand theirs. So, for example, like a woman might get frustrated because a guy never gives her gifts,
Mm-hmm.
but the same guy will build her, I don't know, a dining room set and mow the lawn and then cook her. He's a cook also and cook her dinner. So he doesn't understand that she is a gifts person, and he doesn't understand. He's obviously an acts of service person. So if you can kind of start learning each other's love languages, it can help to disable a lot of misunderstandings and fights.
Mm-hmm.
So I know some people know this, but other people don't. But when you are embarking on a relationship, or if you've been in one for a while, this might be something a test you can both take to find out a little bit more about each other.
I've heard this type of stuff. I heard people talking about this like a year or
Mm-hmm.
two ago, and I'm just like, oh, it's some new love thing they're talking
It's
about,
been around for a while.
like the personality test. Like
Mm-hmm.
they kind of get ramped up and talked about, and then they kind of go away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't think I've actually taken one of those quizzes to know what my love language is.
Yeah, you should. I mean, if somebody's love language is quality time, right? Then that person is not going to be okay dating somebody who's a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of know ahead of time. You know what I mean? You know ahead of time if things are, you know what I'm saying? If they're going to
Yeah.
gel or not. So, but somebody whose love languages are gifts might be okay with a workaholic because they have, maybe say extra money they can throw and buy the roses and all the stuff,
Yeah.
So, cool, awesome, dude. Hi. Internet dating is a terrible idea. There's a bunch of crazy people and catfishers on there. It's best to meet and befriend someone until they love you instead of meet with some stranger on the internet. Just saying. I'm gonna disagree with that. I understand where you're coming from, and you're not wrong. I'm just gonna say, have you met people on Facebook or Instagram or through social media that you like and you've become friends with? Because internet dating's kind of the same thing. You can meet people online that way. It's just people are. I think a lot of people aren't really aware of who they are and what
Yeah.
they have to offer, or they're delusional and think they're offering a lot more. They have a lot more to offer than they do. So we're not always dealing with reality as far as what we're putting on our profiles. We should have our friends write our profiles for us.
Oh, that might not be good either.
It might not, like I could see my friend writing it for me, like, oh, she's pretty cool, but she's never gonna fucking show up on time. So like
Like,
tell her 20 minutes ahead of time what time you want her to be there. Because if you are an on-time person, you're not gonna get along with her. Mm-mm.
think about what you know about guys, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then think about what those guys' friends would write about them on social media if they had to do their social media apps.
He's a right good cunt. I can see that. It's like, oh crap, my best friend is British. I can't believe he put that on my profile.
He's 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 totally gay. That's what they would put.
Just Jada says love language can change over the years too. That's true. Yeah.
But that's also,
Good
I think,
point.
with people change, like how people change throughout the years. Like your taste buds change, your skin
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
We
Your hair
kind of go
texture
through that
changes.
ebb and flow.
Yeah. Yep. True. True. So,
There you go. Fred says if it has a pulse.
yeah, right. So, another story I'd read recently that was really interesting was a woman was saying how she wished that she and her husband had that everlasting love. And she was talking about how to love with a broken heart. And unfortunately, they did not work out. And it was really, really difficult because they had a son together and they tried. Um, or rather, she tried. But her therapist said you cannot fight for a relationship when you are the only person in the ring.
Yeah, that's true.
So then she realized, obviously she's very brokenhearted about all of this. But because of their son, they're still obviously putting him as a priority. And she realized one day that even though they divorced, she was still able to love him. Her love for him was still there, even though she had gone through and had a broken heart with him. The love did not fade because he was still her son's father. She's watching him sit on the floor putting some toy together for their son. This is a couple years later. And she realized she still loved him just as much as a human being, just they weren't together. But it never faded. And I thought that was really admirable because a lot of people aren't able to have that afterwards. And I think if you can remember what it is about the person that you have loved about them while understanding that maybe they're not good for you and this relationship is not good for you, it helps you retain the friendship and love aspect while moving away and saying, okay, I tried, I did this. I can't fight for something if it's just me in the ring. Two people have to be able to want this. And it helps you move away and say, I have to move away from this, but I still love you as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And helps you move on. What's your opinion about that?
No, I think you're right. You kind of, you can't, well, you definitely can't be the only one fighting for the relationship, right? Like a relationship is two people working together on being together. And like you said, if you're the only one in that ring, there's no bringing that other person back. Because if they have their mind made up that they want to see other people and they want to do other things, you're probably not going to change their mind because they probably have been in that mode for days, weeks, months, which have made them, get to that situation. But you also have to do what's good for you to set yourself up, uh, set your wall and your defense up. Like you said, like sometimes after you're done with a relationship, you take some time off and just heal. A lot of people, they'll say that Jamie.
I know, Jamie.
Getting
That's
drunk.
why I'm in a relationship with a rum. Apparently, a lot of people are.
Most people will take that time to work on themselves.
Not most people. Most people have the attitude.
they really
The best
they'll
way to
jump
get
right
over
in,
somebody is to get under somebody,
jump right
and I
into
don't
another
think
one.
I don't think that's the case.
That's probably what most people. That's where probably what I should have said is most people need to work on something or figure out like, okay, maybe I should be by myself for a little bit. Maybe I am better off by myself, or not jumping into this next relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to, because like there's a girl I know. She says that she doesn't date anyone that doesn't have a college degree.
Really?
Yes. Now that cuts off a lot of people in the dating pool. And she can't find anybody. She's very unhappy, right?
Okay.
So that maybe it's because the people that the dating pool that you have is one that you shouldn't be using. So again, it's a lot of it's your mind frame. If you're in that mind frame and that other person's in that mind frame and your guys are going to work together, it'll work. But once one goes this way and the other one kind of is still trying to go this way, or you go that way, it never works out.
Steve Jobs didn't have a college degree.
No, there's a lot of people that didn't have college degrees that make it in life.
I'm just saying, like, that's a really narrow way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need a degree to be successful. Some people opt to have one, but see, here's the
A
thing
lot of
with
people.
online dating. A lot of people have this pre-created idea of what they think they want. Like, I want, a woman who's not over the age of 40, who, 38 years old, who has blonde hair and some big ass fucking titties. And I want her to not have any kids or blah, blah, blah. They have this whole idea. And in reality, you go and you spend all your time looking for that perfect person that lives up to this design in your head. And when you find maybe somebody that fits in there with your numbers and your stats and everything, you kind of try and convince yourself that that is your person. When in reality, it might not be. And women do the same thing. We're like, oh, we want a guy that's like this and doesn't make under this amount and has a college degree and he can't be under 6 feet tall. That's a big one I see all the time. No man can be under 6 feet tall and has to make at least, $80,000 and blah, blah, blah. And in reality, if you met a guy out in the real world and you get to know him, you're going to realize that the guys you fall for, that you can have a good relationship, are not always 6 feet tall making $80,000 who are, you know what I mean? They're not, we're using facts and figures and we're taking the humanity out of it.
Yeah, you're limiting yourself because that's how I felt about it. Because
you're trying to make somebody fit into boxes.
She's not the only girl that I know that had that parameter. Literally, the first girl I ever dated, April, her mom was like, "You're not marrying a guy unless he has a degree." And
well, that's her mom's idea of success, not hers.
She took that same assessment with her, and that's why we ended up going our own separate ways. But the girl that I know from improv, she does not date anyone that does not have a college education, and which is why she's probably miserable.
I was gonna say she's single, right? So, and Fred says to find success, is it being happy with what you have or something in the bank? Everybody defines it differently, I suppose, but for me, it's if you're giving joy and if you're receiving joy, if you're happy, if you're happy.
Maybe we can get your perspective on this, because a long time ago I saw a graphic. It was a chart, and it was ages of men, and then how much they made, and whether or not they were in relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Men.
I saw one too. It was a hot, crazy matrix.
The younger you are as a man, you are more likely to be in a relationship with less money.
Yes.
The older you are,
the
are less likely if you don't have a lot of money. But the column that was green for every age group, April, that was in a relationship, everyone that was over 100 grand, whether you were 20, 40, or 50, all the way down, were in a relationship. So you could see the clear cutoff. It was like as soon as you were 100 grand or more, no matter what age you were.
I know why. That's men too. Men are raised. This is society. This is their belief. Because I've gotten in these relationships with guys, and the thing happens. This happens always, all the time. As soon as work gets busy for them, they drop you, and they're like, "I gotta focus on work right now. I gotta focus on work right now." Like males define success by finances. So I've gotten in these relationships with guys, and they think, every one of them too, thinks that they can't have a relationship until they have some kind of money in the bank.
Yeah.
Or they're earning a certain amount of money. Every fucking one of them thinks that they have to be making a certain amount before they can have a relationship. Oh.
But you also hear the things like my mom worked at a school with a girl, and she was like, she's probably not for you. She's too high maintenance. Right. So, there's those things too that they throw out, like, oh, she might be too high maintenance. Like, she's just looking for a guy with money, or she's looking for a guy that can give her these types of things and all that type of stuff. Right. They might call those gold diggers. She's looking for
Yeah.
a sugar daddy, as Fred said.
Yeah. So one year I did this this experiment, because I'll do this every once in a while to write. Like I did one year I did an experiment with Match.com where I went on my dates and I wrote about them. So every one of them. So another year I did that with dating pages or dating things. And somebody asked about dating coaches. Yeah, why not? If that's a good dating coach, we could all use help. It's like getting a fitness trainer. Do it. Why not? So I put my parameter, I cut my parameters like just as long as they weren't living too far away. I put no age, no race, no nothing. So if the only requirement was, are you interesting and do you comment on something other than what I look like? One night I would be going out with somebody who was 27. I was in my 40s. One night I'm going out with somebody 27. The next night I was going out with somebody 67. So I was all over the place. Yeah, Chuck remembers. I was just like, just see how it goes. And every one of them I kissed at the end of the night. That was my thing. I was just like, every single one. I may never see them again, ever, but I will do a goodnight kiss with everybody just to see how it goes.
How many of them were good kissers, April?
Huh?
How many of them were good kissers? There's more not good kissers out there. Is that what you're trying to say, April?
There's actually some good kissers out there. I mean, that's the way you practice. That's where it's how you get good. You kiss everybody. COVID be damned. COVID be damned. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I'm an excellent kisser.
That's one of my friend's things. He does Tinder, and he's like, I cast a wide net. He's like, he's like, I swipe right on everybody almost. He's like, we'll see who comes back or who's interested in me.
The guys will do that. Women don't. This is the first time I was like, okay, I'll do it, and I'll just see how it goes. And it wasn't me playing the numbers game. It was me wanting to have the most interesting conversations possible with the widest range of people. That's and I did. One time I'm out with a nurse, the male nurse. I'm out with a guy who's a CEO. I'm out with this one. I'm out with that one. Most of them never got to a second date ever. I don't even know if any of them got to a second date, but it was a really interesting experiment for me.
Here we go, Torin. To tell you the truth, April, big busty and buff women turn me on as far when it comes to something like a dominatrix and probably dating women. So Torin likes some big and busty.
He likes the strong chicks.
Well, that's right there. Like a lot of people, the money doesn't bring happiness, but it can afford a lot of things.
It brings security.
It brings security. It if you have issues, little things like that, you don't have to worry about those things. I think for me, the biggest thing that I've ever heard is Joe Rogan talk about when he first made it on news radio, and he didn't have to worry about his bills anymore because his money going into his bank account was more than his living expenses each week that he got paid on the show. And that's like imagine
which we have all those problems here all the time.
Right? All that stress just lifted off.
Thank you for subscribing to the A Show. Thank you for being on Patreon. We appreciate it. Woo woo.
Just you don't have to worry about that stress, that day to day that like the regular person, the middle class person has to worry about. What am I gonna do? I pay bills or do I pay this health insurance or do because that happened to me. Like I had a concussion and my parents didn't take me to the hospital. They weren't. There was that choice of the medical bills. Like, all right, he can probably get through it. Like a lot of my medical information came from my aunt. That my parents, she's a nurse, so my parents would call her and be like, "Hey, it's not hanging off his arm. Is he okay?" She'd be like, "Yeah, he's good. Don't worry about it."
You consult the military handbook of the medical. It's like
we had one of those medical dictionary things in the house too. So,
we do too. So, and last but not least, before we leave, the sacredness of sex. So, a lot of people treat sex as a verb. It's just a means to the end. And if that's your thing, okay. But what I think you should consider doing is slowing down, and almost looking at it as a form of meditation. So where you can shut everything out. And this, obviously, if you have kids or pets, you got to make sure, get them a play date, take them to the
Mm-hmm.
neighbors, get them to grandma's, put the pets somewhere else, give them a nice big bone to chew on, and shut things down and have some actual time. Give yourself a full hour. Guys, you might want to wear a bow tie. You never know what could happen. Ladies, you might want to wear something cute and see how it goes, and pay full attention and do a body massage and really pay attention to the here and now and all the sensations going on, and understand that sex is a way to physically connect and to build that connection with your partner. And like I said, with the connection, the 4 ways of connection, it's not just having a chemistry. It's, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. Physically connect. Maybe more than an hour, Jada, but I'm saying at least an hour. Give yourself some time so that you're not rushed, and don't rush into anything. Enjoy it. If you want to break out some alternative methods or some toys or things, and just slow down and use it as a way to really enjoy the sacredness that sex is, rather than just going for the orgasm, going for the quickie, because we fall into those routines. So use it as a respite. Use it as a way to meditate. Use it as a way to really shut everything out and be here and now.
I mean, it is like like you said, it's a way to connect. It's a way for release. And it's like a shared thing. Like the two of you are in that moment. I mean, it's one thing when you're at home playing with yourself, but you're here sharing a moment with someone, right? Like there's, I mean, you should use that time to connect mentally and physically. That's
Mm-hmm.
where the mental and physical connection is right there. That's where it all comes together. Is
Hell,
in that
sometimes
moment.
spiritual too. Hey, if
Yes.
you're doing it right. But yeah, so
Yeah, get it to where they can just look at you, April, and they just wet themselves right there.
there you go. I'm not you. That doesn't happen to me. It's just that's a Colin thing, obviously.
Well, that's I've always I've waited tables a lot when I was
Mhm.
younger, and there was always an older woman that I worked with, April, that would come to me and be like, "I had a dream about you the other night." And it was just always like the older woman that I knew that worked there would just be like, "I had a dream about you the other night." I'm like, "What do I do? I'm just here working." Like,
What you do?
I'm waiting tables. I ran your food once. I don't know what I did.
Yeah, well, the fans are going to want to see you
Yeah, that's not
start
happening.
pec flexing it.
That's not happening.
So anyway, yes, if you take your love languages test, see if your partner, send the results to your partner. See if they will take theirs and read their results. Understand that resentment is the relationship killer from hell. Make sure you try and catch that before it goes to that.
I
If you're
just
going in
pasted a
it.
link in the sorry,
Oh,
April. I just
awesome.
pasted a
Yeah,
link in the
we got a
chat
link in
for
there.
a
Thank
love
you.
language quiz that people can take if they want to.
Yeah, catch the resentment. Understand that the what's the word I'm looking for? The deception is worse than the cheating. So try and always be honest. Honesty can be painful, but I'll take painful honesty over, a shitty lie any day of the week. I can at least respect honesty. And take some time with sex, and widen your parameters, keep your mind open with dating. So, and Wolf, tell Bambi I said hi. I love her. So she's one of my favorite people. So, and that's what we got for you this week. If you have other ideas, let me know. I'm actually taking a Tantra course. So once I take that, I will be passing that on to you guys as well. Anything good that I've learned. And we got some pec flex. Are we pec flexing? Is that what we're doing? Pec flex to finish out. Twitch on Twitch. There we go. Thank you for subscribing here. We appreciate it. Putting your money where your mouth is helps us because it shows that you truly support us. We have to pay our hosting fees, and your support really matters, and we are grateful, very, very grateful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being on Patreon. It's Patreon The A Show. Again, your support helps tremendously. We'll be here on Tuesday night. You can find me on Patreon The A Show. You can also find me on Patreon, April Hunter. Colin, where are you going to be?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Colin Wysong. And Wednesday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Big Ray Hernandez for the Ridiculously Random Podcast, where we will be talking top 5 rappers. So it's going to be pretty controversial and fun.
That will be. That
Yeah.
will be. Huh. I got to get on there and listen to you guys.
We'll bring you on. What would you want to do for a top 5 if you came on?
I don't know. You guys make it up, and
We would have to. We want to do something themed around you. I think that's what we would do.
No. I get bored with myself. I like other stuff. I'm so bored with me.
Hey,
So.
you know what though? I find that, and it's the guys in the chat. They want us to do like top 5 porn stars, top 5 porn movies. Like that's all they want. They don't care about
Jenna Jameson, Lisa Ann, the door behind the door one. I'm sure.
I saw a
Jamie
random
can tell
one
me the other two.
when I was younger. It was a John Holmes film called Dick Man and Throbbing. It's the Adventures of Dick Man.
That's
and Throbbing.
hilarious.
And basically, the town is full of frigid women, and Dick Man and Throbbing have to save the town of the frigidity that these women have.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. So put that right on there. Yep. Someone's saying Gianna Michaels. That's a war demon right there. Hi, war demon. So we got all kinds. Everybody's got their opinions right there. So, yep. Everybody's got their favorites, but nobody ever watches porn. Never.
No, never.
And by the way, the Time Traveler's Wife keeps getting better and better and better. So if you guys aren't watching that, it's on HBO. Definitely check it out. It's really, really good. So highly recommend.
I've been watching The Boys.
Oh, The
Boys and the Stranger Things have my attention right now.
The Boys is unbelievable. So are they going to do eight episodes this season or still 6?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I think it might just be 6.
Because if it's 6, we're already on 4.
Yeah, and it's going so fast.
Winona goes, no woman left unbanged. This is a fitting end to this themed show. All right, you guys. Lots of love, and you guys have a great one. I'll see you next week, 7:30 Eastern on twitch.tv, The A Show, and find us, support us, love us, and we love you. Mwah.
Take care, guys.